Every major intraday reversal has a fingerprint, and it usually shows up in one candle, a single exhaustion candle, a climax in volume, a failed breakout, a violent wick. And that's where the real story of control shifts hands. Most retail traders see that candle and think, wow, big move. But VWAP wave traders will see that candle and anchor a VWAP to it. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how I use anchored VWAPs attached to exhaustion candles to spot temporary tops and bottoms, identify who took control at the volume event, and then map out high probability setups from that anchored VWAP using the VWAP Wave System. So here's the truth. When you anchor a VWAP to the moment the auction rejects a specific price, whether you call it the climax candle, the exhaustion candle, the trap candle, the squeeze, the VWAP then becomes your roadmap. It's going to show you whether buyers or sellers are actually in control from that event. And even better, it gives you the tradable 4 core setups out of the system. This is how you turn that chaos into structure. This is how you stop guessing. This is how you stop chasing and start reacting to these big moments with precision. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to walk you through how to spot these specific exhaustion candles, then how to anchor a VWAP to these volume events, then how this anchored VWAP will act as dynamic support and resistance until the next volume event occurs. And most importantly, how this plugs directly into the VWAP Wave System framework to create clean, repeatable trade entries. So let's jump in. And by the end of this video, you're never going to look at an exhaustion candle the same way again. Okay, we're going to keep this video relatively short because I do want to keep the concepts relatively simple. What you're viewing here is the VWAP Wave System toolkit. It's available in their Discord and through Flux Charts. It's the indicators we use to be able to trade this system. It's not necessary, but it is necessary to see the topic of this video, which is exhaustion candles. It's included in our features. So what you see here is ES on the 2-minute. You see the Globex VWAP. It's 1 standard deviation band. You're seeing the weekly deviation lower band and the monthly deviation lower band. And right here is the weekly VWAP right here. So in the settings for the VWAP Wave System toolkit, which you can get at VWAPWave.com/toolkit, you go down here to the bottom and you're going to see the volume exhaustion candlesticks. All right, blue is going to be buy side candles, purple is going to be sell side. You can change these to whatever you want. I like a higher pivot length, so I put it at 50 for a little bit higher sensitivity. And then this is the threshold of volume, right? So we want to see 125% volume threshold. This is going to be our qualifier for the exhaustion level of volume that we want to see in the candlestick. All right, pretty simple here. And you can raise or lower these to your specifics, but lower pivot length and lower threshold, you're going to get less candles. On the lower pivot length, you'll get more on the lower threshold. So it's all comparative. So once we see a capitulation candle or a volume exhaustion candle, right, we have some buy side candles here. Okay, so this is a big move up. We got a big exhaustion candle here. You can see a temporary reversal for about 6 minutes before it moved up. We got another exhaustion candle where you saw another little low volume pullback, and then we got the final exhaustion candle. You see a sell side exhaustion candle here and a sell side here. As you can see, they often mark temporary reversals. Here's one at 10:36 p.m. Right, also a big wick. Okay, and you can just see a bunch of these happening throughout the day. Here's one. This was news. Here's another one, right? And they typically represent a temporary reversal, or it could be even a significant reversal point. So it's up to you how sensitive you want this to be. But once you see an exhaustion candle, then we're going to want to attach a anchored VWAP to it. So I typically use the one out of the drawing tools. All right, so if we turn on the drawings panel, right here is our anchored VWAP volume base. You're going to want to star it so it's on your favorites. All right, so I don't need to even have the drawing panel up here. I have all my favorite drawing tools right here on this toolbar, right? So whenever I see an exhaustion candle, I could just click on anchored VWAP and just put it right on the chart, okay? And if I click on this, I just want standard deviation, 1 deviation, and then typically we can use top for a buy side or the high for a buy side, low for a sell side, or you can also experiment with what we typically use for most VWAPs, which is going to be our OHLC over 4, right? That takes in the most data, okay? So once we place this exhaustion candle VWAP, all right, you can see this is sellers in control after the candle, right? They're holding that lower deviation band. This is price discovery continuation short, at which point we get a return to value when we break inside the bands, fade value area extreme, all right? We break to the sell side a little bit, and then look how we hold the upper deviation band on this. So you could see these levels playing out pretty significantly from that buy side capitulation. Okay, let's look at a couple of more. Let's look at a sell side. Right, so down here we had a sell side capitulation. Right, we'll attach to this. Right, and you can see, interestingly enough, how we held VWAP for this entire move. Right, and upper band for a lot of that move, right? It's fascinating how long these things can stay active for, right? So we want a volume events are very important. Our system is based on the auction, and the auction is based on volume, right? So I expect you're going to want to find these candles using the toolkit, and you're going to want to attach anchored VWAPs to them, and they're going to give you a real clear story of who's in control once the volume event happens. Okay, return to value, back test. We broke above this VWAP a little bit, but still, right? So you can see some really important things happening with this VWAP. Let's do another one. So I like to attach these anytime we see one. Here was some news at 8:30. Let's attach it. Attach the VWAP. Right, you can kind of see we were in a balanced market. Pretty much staying within here until the sellers took over, right? Let's do another one. Here's a buy side. Let's attach our anchored VWAP. And you can see from that volume event, you're going to want to be with the sellers on this as they hold the lower deviation, return to value, VWAP holds, and then again, more sell side. Right, and this gave us better signals than the actual Globex itself. So these are excellent spots to put anchored VWAPs to. Here was a big move in the evening. All right, let's attach a anchored VWAP to it. All right, it gives us real insight who's in control. Sellers, balance, sellers below it, balance, buyers above it. Here's another one. Buy side on ES. All right, sellers in control, balance, rejection, and then we stay below it till we get another one here. You can add another VWAP to that. And it just gives you a nice indication of who's in control from the volume event. Really helps your short-term day traders discover who's in control from a significant source of volume. So I encourage you to start monitoring the exhaustion candles as soon as you see them, attaching an anchored VWAP to them, and then use them to trade setups, but more importantly, the context of the auction from that volume event. So who's in control? Are we between the bands? All right, we in a balanced market from there? Is there kind of acceptance? Or are we below it? Sellers have taken the reins. Or are we above it? Buyers are now in control, right, from that temporary reversal spot. So I encourage you to start attaching your anchored VWAPs to these exhaustion candles and start monitoring the strength of who's in control. And I think it's going to help your trading significantly when combined with the rest of the levels in the VWAP Wave system. Now, this video isn't going to be really about the 4 core setups. We have completely different videos for that. I'll put that in the description below for you to give it a watch so you understand how to trade the deviation bands and VWAP per the 4 core setups, right? We have price discovery continuation when we're trading outside the bands. We have fade value area extremes when we're trading within the bands and staying within the bands. We have return to value when we're outside of the band and come back into the bands. And then lastly, we have the VWAP Bounce. That's when we're trading outside of the bands in a trend type of environment, and we expect the VWAP to be the reversal point for continuation in the direction we were going. All right, those are the 4 core setups. You need to learn those to really use the anchored VWAP, and I encourage you to start attaching these anchored VWAPs to your charts. All right, look how price came back to VWAP here in Globex, and these lined up nicely to give us some conviction to the downside. So thank you for watching this video. I encourage you to pick up the toolkit. You can get a link for that in the description below. It's VWAPwave.com/toolkit. And you can start trading this with us in the free Discord. Come check us out. There's a link in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.